Welcome, everyone. It is 4:30. We're going to wait just a moment while people join us from the waiting room. Thank you so much for joining us today. We're excited to share this presentation with you. We're really excited to have Chris DeVany with us. We had about 80 or 90 registrants signed up for this today, so we're going to give just a minute more for people to come. All righty. It looks like we've got everybody in. People may continue joining us over the next couple of minutes. Welcome to our presentation today. It is called Thriving Through Change, Strategies for Career Resilience and Growth. We're very excited to have you here. Thank you for joining us. I want to go through just a couple of housekeeping notes. My name is Kelly Carey. I'm Marketing and Communications Specialist here at BPI. I'm just going to get us going here, and then Amanda and Chris will take over. A couple of items about today's presentation. You can raise your hand or use the chat to ask questions throughout the presentation. We are aiming for a more interactive style. Those of you who have attended a Gold Star webinar before, you know that the chat and questions are a little bit more restricted. We want you to be able to interact, to speak, so raise your hand or use the chat whenever you want to. Chris will call on you. You can unmute yourself at that time. You can turn your camera on at that time if you want. There is going to be an open Q&A session at the end. You may, at that time, raise your hand, ask a question, or pop something in the chat, or use the Q&A feature, whichever way is most comfortable for you to get your questions out. Last item, we are going to make the recording and the slide deck available at the end. Most likely it will go out Thursday. We may take a bit of time to edit the video. So you will see those things. We will email it to all registrants. So we want you to have this information later on. Our speakers today are Amanda Hatherley, the CEO of Building Performance Institute. She is a career home performance professional. We're delighted to have her. She just joined us in October. She's doing a wonderful job so far, and so I'm excited to have her speak to you today about BPI's career resources. And Chris DeVany is president and founder of Pinnacle Performance Improvement Worldwide. He is a business coach who has worked with large businesses all over the world. We love the way he practices. We're delighted to have him. So with that, I will hand it over to Amanda.
So welcome everybody to this webinar. And first I want to say thank you so much to Chris. We really appreciate this. When BPI started, we started talking internally about how we might be able to support the industry somewhat with all the uncertainty and all the change that is happening. We decided we'd really like to be able to offer a webinar like this. And we reached out to Chris and he right away volunteered. I don't know if you've seen him before on a webinar presentation, but you're in for a treat if you haven't. He's, as Kelly said, he's internationally renowned, a great speaker on just this type of a topic. He is also a presenter for our Gold Star Contractor webinar, so you may have seen him on that. So thank you so much, Chris. We are really grateful to you. Next slide. In case you don't know, we have career resources that might benefit you. We, on our jobs tab, or find a job on our website, there's a place where you can post a resume. So if you would like to post a resume, we welcome, and it's a very straightforward process. Next slide. You can also go look, we have job listings there from, oh, Jill Baum is not seeing the presentation. Can the rest of you see the presentation? You want to put it in the chat? If you can't, can others of you? Oh yeah, okay, so people can see it. And Jill, I'm sorry, maybe it's your settings. Thanks. Okay, Pam can see it. A bunch of you can. Great. Um, so yeah, so you can post a resume. We also have a job board. You can search job listings there, and we really encourage you to do that. Um, Thanks again, Chris, and take it away.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Bear with me here. I am always technically challenged. However, I'm in the midst of getting my presentation, hopefully visible to everyone. If you'll just bear with me 1 second here. I want to bring it to full screen. And as and when I start presenting, I will check back with all of you. So I'm now back on the title slide. Thank you for, I'm a self-admitted techno stumbler, by the way.
We can
So
see it.
hopefully, okay, it says thriving through change, strategies for career resilience and growth. So let me just say a few things just before we dive in. First of all, I'm honored that I was asked to present this. As I mentioned to Amanda and Lynn and Kelly on Friday, we had a little check-in together. I myself have been through career change. I mean, at least a couple of times, but one time in particular I was thinking of as we know what's going on in today's environment. One time when I myself was laid off and quite suddenly and quite unexpectedly, and I would just say quite undeservedly, but we'll leave that to someone else to decide ultimately. In short, I know, I'll be blunt, I know how traumatized I was when I was let go, essentially without notice. Um, I was in shock. And some of you may be in that case, in that situation now. Some of you may be concerned that maybe you are about to lose, a job, an opportunity, maybe an assignment. I mean, there are a number of ways that we can be impacted, either full-time or to some degree part-time. And in some cases, if we have a large contract with someone, it could be a large part of our business. So there are a number of ways that we can be affected um, by either a layoff or a loss of opportunity, a loss of work. And I don't care who you are, how strong you are, how confident you are, it jolts you. And so I just want you to know I'm here to support you and to admit people when I can. How about that? Okay. So we have a number of objectives we want to address today. Of course, we've been welcoming you, introducing you. I'll share with you in just a moment an overview of the agenda. But just before I do that, the importance of career resilience. Um, I started our company next month, it will be 31 years ago. And yet, when I started our business, I also reached a point after I'd started our business, and we were only, I think, 1 to 2 years in business when I reached such a crisis point. What happened was when I started our firm, I had 3 contracts, each of which was for 12 months, and each of which was for a certain dollar amount. So I had my first year's income, at least a baseline predicted, and in writing. So that was great. And yet it was about 9 to 10 months into my first year, I reached a crisis point. And the crisis point was, oh my gosh, um, everyone wants to renew with me, but they want to renew with me for shorter terms, 6 or 9 months, and therefore for fewer dollars. What do I do? And so I actually came home and I discussed it with my wife. And, God bless her. I mean, she supported me because I said to her, I said, do you want me to go back and look for a job? Or is it okay if I try to work my way through this? And she said, no, 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 we're doing the latter because I believe in you. God bless her for that because I truly was ready for her to say, you know what? If you only have 6 to 9 months of certainty in income versus 12 months, fewer dollars, maybe you should look for a job. And I mean, I actually had this is how long ago it was. I had the listings from the Boston Globe, open like I was going to look for a job. So thanks to her, much appreciated. And that is someone who we benefit from. Perhaps we have a spouse or a partner or maybe even a family member who is supportive that way. And that's important when it comes to being career resilient. Also, um, to what degree do we have a plan? And in that plan, is our plan including our continuing with what we're doing? Is it also, though, open to other possibilities? And so, I just suggest that that is an important aspect of how I would define career resilience is saying, okay, my hope is that I'm going to continue doing exactly what I'm doing, the way I'm doing it, with whom I'm doing it, and yet, what other possibilities do I have open? So I'll just one more time, if you'll forgive me, briefly use myself as an example. When I started in 1994, my three clients, I was providing training for their managers because that had been part of my experience. I'd been a manager, I'd gone through management training in three different companies. So that was really my only business at the time. Provide management training, three different companies, excellent. And yet, what I was starting to realize with this jolt that I got is that that can't be the only thing that I do. And so that got me thinking about other capabilities, and I want to give credit where credit is due. Wonderful author, wonderful person. His name is Alan Weiss, wrote a book called Million Dollar Consulting. And I read it every sentence, every paragraph, every page, probably two or three times through. I was just enthralled because he spoke to me about the value of being open to other possibilities. What other kinds of work can I do under this business or corporate umbrella? And so that is one way I encourage you to think of yourself. What are my skills? What are my talents? Are there other ways I can manifest my talents in a way that will be profitable, that will help me to earn a living? And so, just one more brief example. So, that's how I started 31 years ago. And yet, since I've had different clients ask me, can you coach someone? Of course, yes. Can you facilitate strategic planning? Of course. Can you do a webinar for us? Yes. And I will tell you this. I first got a call from a now large client to do one or two webinars a month for a year. That was 2010 or 2011. And now they are approximately 26% of my revenue, one client. Now that's a dangerous mix. However, they are a fabulous client. And that's how that started. So just being open, whatever we do for a living, what are all of our skills, all of our talents? What are all the different ways we can produce work which people will value and then pay us for? So that to me is at the essence of career resilience. And now for expectations. What are we going to address today? We're going to address emotional well-being and mental health, what we can do to manage stress and maintain a positive mindset during any career transitions that we have gone through, are going through, expect we might be going through. Also, career transition and job search strategies, some best practices for crafting a compelling resume and optimizing LinkedIn for job searches. Also, upskilling and reskilling opportunities, identifying in-demand skills and resources which are available for professional development. Financial planning and support, some practical strategies for managing our finances during periods of transition. Also, the value of networking and community support, building and leveraging connections for career opportunities, entrepreneurship and freelancing, where we explore self-employment options and side hustles, and building a personal brand, enhancing our professional presence to stand out in the job market. Okay, so what is career resilience? I've started to speak to this. It's also about the importance of being able to adapt, to expand our capabilities. Think to yourself, what are all the different talents that I have? Where can I expand? Where can I grow my opportunities? What other directions can I go in? And maybe while still maintaining my core career, my core business, whatever it is that I do. Examples of resilient professionals. I'm going to cite two. One in particular was actually my manager when I worked in Baybank in the early 90s. His name is Preston McSwain. And Preston, at the time, was just starting to look into private banking. We worked at a company called Baybank in Massachusetts back in the early 90s. And so Preston was just starting to work in private banking for Baybank. And we've kept in touch. And to his credit, Preston decided to keep expanding his capabilities, his professional capabilities. He took all the CFP, Certified Financial Planner exams. He also decided that he wanted to learn business law. So he didn't become a lawyer per se. However, he took a number of business law courses so he would understand how law works in business. Excellent. And he continued his work in private banking for the bank. Okay, wonderful. Well, now Preston and his business partner run a financial planning company. Very, very successful. It's not what he originally set out to do, yet Preston takes care of financial planning and answering business law questions. His partner, though, is both a lawyer and a CPA. So between the two of them, they help all of their clients with financial planning. He can answer some legal questions. He, of course, defers to his partner, who is actually a practicing attorney, to handle legal matters. And of course, because his partner is also a CPA, hey, you want us to help you with your accounting, your bookkeeping, and all of that? There you go. So, really, three different areas of professional services, all under one corporate umbrella, one business umbrella. And this was never something that he set out to do. He thought he was going to continue to rise either within Baybank or another bank, and maybe one day be in charge of our bank or some other bank's private banking operations. So he's just one example of someone who's been resilient. He's expanded his capabilities and looked at other possibilities. One other person I'd like to cite is this. Most of you have probably heard of the name Dolly Parton. Well, what you may not know is that her husband recently passed away, and there actually is an amazing story. His name is Carl Dean. And Carl, when they first met outside a laundromat 60 years ago in Nashville, Tennessee. And at the time, Carl was something of a, like a handyman, a fix-it guy, and, someone you could call on to fix this, that, or the other thing. Well, Carl was a big supporter. They decided to get married, and he's still, like Mr. Fix-It. She's a musician. But they clearly had some frank and candid discussions. And what they decided was Carl was going to go back to school. He was going to take some courses in business, in finance, because they wanted him to be her financial manager. And they never really made this public. He did go into business with someone else, and the two of them set up a business practice to support musicians. But of course, their primary client was always Dolly Parton. And this started with someone who was, like I said, like your local neighborhood handyman, the guy you would call if, your washer broke and you needed it fixed. So he's another example I like to cite of someone who was, God bless him, he just passed away, incredibly resilient. He found ways to expand his talents and his capabilities, okay, primarily to be of service to his wife, yet also to expand his capabilities so he could provide the kind of business support that she needed. So the key factors that enhance resilience, in my view, um, a willingness to adapt, a willingness to take on new opportunities, a willingness to try something that we haven't tried before. Someone asked me to coach someone one day in like the late 90s. I'd never done that before, but I had with me a client who highly trusted me, who trusted that I would figure out what it took to help this person who he wanted coached. And that's exactly what I did. And now I don't mind telling you, I probably coach regularly one-on-one. I'd say at any one time, somewhere between 10 to 15 executives and senior managers. So I help people at an executive or senior management level, one-on-one coaching to build their teams, to grow their part of the business, whatever it is they're really looking for help with, as long as it doesn't mean, actually managing their books. It's about helping them grow their part of their business. Okay. So we're also here to talk about emotional well-being and mental health. And that includes managing stress and maintaining a positive mindset. Now, we've all faced challenges. We've all, experienced some degrees of trauma, some of it personal, some of it professional, some of it both. And so what I found helps to maintain a positive mindset. First of all, let me give credit where credit is due. It starts with my parents, Richard and Elizabeth DeVany. God bless them. They're still with us. Mom is 88, dad is 87, still going. Two of the most positive people you could ever meet. So it helped that I grew up with two such forward-thinking and positive people as my parents. That being said, though, at one point I had to file for bankruptcy when I was still in college. Um, Another time, as I mentioned, I lost my job suddenly. I was in my late 20s. I was traumatized. I wasn't yet married, but boy, I was really close to getting married when I lost that job. And so like I said, I've been through different traumas. And so, okay, upset, stressed, absolutely. However, it really comes down to what is your attitude going to be that's going to carry you through adversity. So here's what I've found about that. It's like, okay, let me at least start with a list of pros and cons. And I am the kind of person, yes, I'm an optimist. However, I think it's important to say, okay, whatever I'm going through right now, let me take a piece of paper or a page on Microsoft Word and basically run a line down the middle or run two pages. One page is pros, one is cons. What are all the pros about what I'm going through right now? And what are all the cons? Now, the cons are what we call challenges. And I thank Mike Cataldo, one of my managers at Prudential, who taught me that. He said, no, 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 you don't have problems. These are challenges. And these challenges present you with opportunities. So, in other words, anything that is causing you distress, difficulty, dismay, whatever it might be, list them as challenges and then just say to yourself, okay, for each of these challenges, let's say right now I'm worried I'm going to lose my job or I'm going to lose a large contract or whatever it might be. What are the ways I'm going to fix this? How am I going to solve this? What am I going to do that's going to get me out of the situation, whatever it is? So that to me is a huge part of maintaining a positive mindset. We've all undergone trauma. We may be undergoing some trauma right now. And whatever it is, write it down. And next to whatever you've written down, just to the right of it, say, okay, what am I going to do to fix this, to solve this, to get me out of this mess? Because that's behind developing an action plan. That's key. We need to have an action plan that we've identified, the steps we're going to take to get us out of whatever mess we're in right now, whatever problem we're experiencing, whatever trauma we're experiencing. So these are some of the common emotional challenges. Now, when it comes to some practical techniques for stress management, mindfulness, exercise, huge. I'll tell you this, we now have two dogs in our lives. We've had dogs before, And what I started doing with the first dog I had as a married adult was taking that dog for 2 walks every day. And I'm telling you, it's not like I had a grand plan, except that I knew we both would benefit from exercise. I'm a huge believer in exercise, even if it's just walking around the block. Get yourself out once or twice a day, every day, even when it's cold, bundle up, get some fresh air in you, even if it's just a block each time. And when you're stressed out, step outside. As long as there's not, 2 feet of snow and a raging blizzard, you know, get yourself out and breathing in that fresh air. Now, when it comes to seeking support, of course, those of us who have them, we try to turn to our spouse. Don't have a spouse, maybe a partner. Don't have a partner or a spouse, friends, family, whoever you know you can turn to who will at least listen to you and then offer you whatever support they can. These are the people we all need in our lives. I don't care who you are, I don't care how strong you are. We all need support from people in our lives. People we love, people we cherish, people we enjoy being with. Now, when we see a case study, a professional's journey through career transition, I've shared with you my story. I don't want to bore you anymore with my story. So I'm going to share with you one other because I just learned about this last night. So I was watching a wonderful special, Ringo and his friends at the Ryman. This was in Nashville, Tennessee. They performed this and recorded it about a month ago. They showed it last night on CBS. And one of the people on this, I couldn't believe this. I'm reading the story. Billy Strings. So here's what I remember. I looked him up on Wikipedia, and what I understand is I'll spare you most of the details, but let's just say he underwent extraordinary trauma. Had his father left when he was 2. He's not stayed in touch with him ever since. His mom was a fighter, a survivor, found another man who was much better, who he considers his father. And that's wonderful. However, what he was doing initially was he was, if you'll pardon me, stringing instruments. He was a musician's support professional. He would string instruments. He would, set up music studios. So he was kind of more busy, like on the operations side of the music industry, and yet he loved playing stringed instruments in his free time. So I guess one time he's sitting there just kind of plucking or whatever, and someone came in and heard him and said, you should be doing more of this. You're actually very, very good at it. He thought he was going to make his living, um, building and managing studios and building and managing facilities that would support musicians, but instead he himself became one. So I thought you might find that interesting. Not always does the plan play out exactly as we want. Not always does the plan play out exactly as we want. Okay. So managing stress through mindfulness and self-care routines. For many, meditation has come in handy. Prayer comes in handy. Self-care. So I remember being taught once that when we interact with someone else, we attend to ourselves and we attend to them in 3 ways: physically, intellectually, and emotionally. So I ask you to ask yourself, what am I doing, first of all, to take care of myself physically? Am I going for walks? Am I hopefully dieting reasonably healthily? So yes, it is a combination of diet and exercise. It's not a magic plan. It's just that we need to attend to both physically. Intellectually, what are you doing? Are you reading anything for enjoyment? Are you watching anything for enjoyment? Yes, it's great for whatever we do, reading, watching, growing our intellect, that's tremendously important. Part of that, though, is reading and watching for enjoyment, because that enjoyment actually also stimulates the brain in a different way. Um, Neurologists will tell you that if you watch or read something that makes you laugh, that laughter opens the synapses on the brain and actually makes your brain more receptive to learning. So both forms of learning and enjoyment are important for intellectual self-care. Now, emotional self-care. I do highly recommend the writings of Daniel Goleman, Goleman, who's written extensively about emotional intelligence, because at the foundations of emotional intelligence are self-knowledge, self-awareness. There are actually 20 elements of emotional intelligence that it's helpful for us to read about, learn about, and then practice. So that to me is emotional self-care. The importance of a positive mindset during transitions. Again, we all face adversity. We've all been out on interviews and gotten rejected or never heard back, whatever it might be. However, what's really important to us, you know, um, people, our intellect, our physicality, our emotional health. So, our physical health, our intellectual health, our emotional health, all three pieces of the pie, PIE, physical, intellectual, emotional, and the people in our lives. Those are the four key elements, in my view, of what compose a positive mindset during a transition. Seeking professional support and counseling. Now, what resources are around us, are near us, are accessible to us? Maybe someone we know has accessed these for career transition counseling. There are many services provided, some by churches and synagogues, some by social service organizations, some by community-based organizations, which will help us with maybe resume writing or counseling about making a transition. Counseling that takes on other aspects. Now, of course, there is counseling which is going to be helpful to us personally. If we're going through a personal crisis, by all means, seek out a licensed clinical professional. Work-life balance strategies. I'm no expert. Um, I just know that when we take care of our physical being, our intellectual health, our emotional health, that's the beginning. Also, though, I suggest this, and actually, I want to give my wife credit for helping me yet again. Um, I am one of those people who takes on a lot. I am one of those people for work who does not say no. And that's a problem. And that's a problem that I have to work on. And I want to thank her publicly. She's not with me, so I'm embarrassing her, but so what? I want to thank her because she sat down with me just about a week ago and said, Chris, I'm really concerned about you. You're taking on too much. You're working too hard. You're not doing enough to take care of yourself. And she's absolutely right. So I've been much more definitive about ending the workday and starting the evening, if you will, with my wife, with our dogs, most especially my wife and our dogs. Dogs are great for emotional well-being, by the way. Anyway, that's another story for another time. But I want to thank her again. She refocused me. She recentered me recently and reminded me how important that is. So in any workday, you need to define the end of when you're working and the start of when you are doing something for yourself, with your spouse, with your partner, with your family, whatever that might be. So I think that's at the root of work-life balance. Um, how can meditation improve our job search productivity? I can't speak to that specifically from experience, but I can say that a dear friend of mine is a big practitioner of meditation and prayer, And so what she does, and this has worked very well for her, her first name is Susan, is this. She does pray. She is a Christian, and so she does take out her Bible at the beginning of every day, and she does read, maybe a page or two, or maybe I forget what they call the parts of the books, maybe the verses. So she'll read, a number of verses in one of the books in the Bible, and she'll do that. And then she'll go to work, do her thing. And she also does the same when she comes home. She'll read some verses in the Bible, and she will meditate and she will pray. And she's told me that that has been very helpful to her. So meditation can definitely, and prayer can help center us. Definitely help center us. Now, some best practices for a successful job search include crafting a compelling resume, the key sections, action words, tailoring for each job. So I am not here as a resume expert. What I am here, though, is to highly recommend LinkedIn. Now, some may or may not be on LinkedIn. If you are, I do encourage you to ask a question or two within the postings on LinkedIn. And if you're part of any working group, you'll get some help and support there. You also can, on the LinkedIn master page, enter the word resume, and it will direct you to, there is a section within LinkedIn that will guide you and help you to craft a compelling resume. Also, optimizing LinkedIn for a job search. Headline, summary, networking, engagement. So again, within LinkedIn, if you want to search for a job, it really helps if you are a premium member, and forgive me because I am. So I don't know what the other tiers are within LinkedIn. However, whatever your level of involvement with LinkedIn, I encourage you as well. In the search window, right at the top, just type in the words job search, and LinkedIn will actually connect you internally within LinkedIn to the links that will help you refine your job search. So I don't have an example of before and after resume improvement, but I encourage you, pursue LinkedIn. It's worth it. And you can have a free membership if necessary. So don't worry about that. But I encourage you, pursue LinkedIn to help you if you are looking to improve the resume that you're composing and to pursue your job search. And that is nothing against Indeed or whatever all the other search engines are for jobs. I'm not saying anything negative about any of those. I'm just saying that I know, because I know people who have found their next opportunity through LinkedIn. I know that it works, and it can work for you if that is what you need. So when it comes to crafting a compelling resume, the key elements, I think we know those: job description, objective, ATS optimization. In other words, you can do a search, and you can do it with Google, by the way. You type in, and you can use ChatGPT for this for free also if you need to. You can type in the search window the job that you're looking for, title, and then ask it for keyword optimization, and it will tell you what the keywords are which should be included in your resume. LinkedIn best practices, enhancing your profile. Again, that's something you can do internally via the LinkedIn website. And networking, don't be shy. Seek out people you already know, seek out some people you don't know, and don't be shy. People are extraordinarily helpful in my experience. I have helped people find jobs. I've helped direct people to others who will help them find a job. There are many resources out there, and frankly, my name on LinkedIn is, I think it's Christopher R. DeVany. So why don't I go to the chat area if I can, and I want to type that in. And I'm looking, and okay. Well, I don't know yet how to find the chat area, but I will. And I'm just letting you know verbally, my name on LinkedIn is Christopher with a PH, middle initial R, last name DeVany, DEV like Victor, ANY, comma, PMP, that's short for Project Management Professional. I believe that's how I'm listed on LinkedIn. If you want, please, I'm here to serve you. Send me a message and I'll be glad to introduce you to others. I'll be glad to try to help you with your job search. Any way that I can be of help to you makes me feel good about myself as well. So there are online platforms and referrals. You can prepare for a mock interview. You can also Google common interview questions. I do recommend you pursue behavioral interviewing online. And for example, a job seeker's transformation with a resume revamp, that is also available on LinkedIn. I don't have the specific link here, but I know that that is available on LinkedIn as well. Okay, now some upskilling and reskilling opportunities, identifying in-demand skills and professional development resources, uh, pursue industries with high demand, pursue both the free and paid learning platforms, Coursera, Udemy, LinkedIn Learning. They will help you create a learning plan. For example, if you're trying to transition from an outdated role to an in-demand field, that is what these learning platforms will help you with, and they will direct you as well to other industries that are in high demand. Also, when it comes to identifying in-demand skills through industry research, again, these free and paid learning resources, Coursera, Udemy, LinkedIn Learning, will direct you to certifications, developing a continuous learning mindset. There are chat groups where people will provide you with support. So many people are helping each other right now online. And again, I'm not a paid spokesperson for LinkedIn. I'm just saying I've seen so many people receive benefits that way. Now, how does upskilling going to help you? Well, again, write down your list of skills and capabilities and say, okay, which of these am I pursuing now? Which of these could I pursue in some other kind of opportunity? And if so, what are those opportunities? Think about the talents you already have that you can grow and develop that could potentially lead you to your next opportunity doing something else if you have to. You know, obsolescence is an awful thing, and yet let me say this. Artificial intelligence is actually an outstanding resource. Now, some people look at me funny when I say this, but you know what another great resource is? ChatGPT. And again, there are free versions right on OpenAI's website. You can ask questions of ChatGPT, and you will be amazed at how thorough, how detailed, how complete the answers are that you will receive. LinkedIn, ChatGPT, both outstanding resources. Now, when it comes to managing our finances during a transition, when we say creating a financial buffer, I was taught very well, and I was fortunate because I was still in college when this happened. I was taught to pay myself first. So let's say you have nothing in the bank right now, and you're uptight, you're up against it. Okay, be calm, be well. Start with a small percentage. Pay yourself first into savings, whatever you can. $1 a week, $5 a week, $10 a week, some percentage of whatever you're bringing in. Even if you start with just 1% of your income every week, you put into savings. There is the cumulative effect of interest, extraordinarily powerful. I learned by accident without really thinking about it, other than I was somewhere in my 20s, I forget how old, and I was working tipped jobs primarily as a server in a restaurant. And At the end of the night, we would have our tips in cash. And so what I started doing was to take all my cash tips and I'd put them in an envelope every night or every morning and deposit them at my bank's ATM. I know some people say that's not the smartest strategy. However, I can tell you this, and this was the 80s, but in less than a year, I saved almost $10,000 that way. So take whatever you can, whatever small amount you can. In fact, there's another great resource. It's called Acorns, Acorns. It's right online. There's an app for it. And I use it, and my 24-year-old daughter use it. So you're going to laugh a little bit because I only put $20 a week into this Acorns, but I authorized Acorns to withdraw $20 every Friday from my checking account. Okay, fine. Been doing it for about 5 years. Those do earn interest. So what was that? 20. So 20 times 50, what's that? 1,000. So basically I've been putting in $1,000 now for 5 years, 5,000, and yet that 5,000 is now worth almost $8,500. That's again the cumulative effect of interest. And okay, you make some investment decisions. But my 24-year-old is doing that. $20 a week. And she's been doing it now for 2 years. So that's a total of about 2,000. And her 2,000 is now worth almost $2,800 in 2 years. So anyone can do this. You can use a resource like Acorns to make a systematic withdrawal. You can make fractional investments in stocks, in many incredible companies. You don't have to buy a full share of Berkshire Hathaway. You can buy a small, tiny fractional share of Berkshire Hathaway through resources such as Acorns, such as, I don't know if it still exists, TD Bank has had something. There are a number of resources that we can access. Also, want to mention budgeting techniques and reducing expenses. Cut and eliminate as many expenses as you can. Focus on the essentials. Focus and say, okay, what if my income is cut by 50%? What am I going to do? What am I going to cut? What am I going to get rid of? What do I not need versus what do I spend? I also encourage you, explore financial aid, unemployment benefits if you need to, grants, and a case study, managing financial stress while job searching. What techniques are you using if you are now or will be searching for a job? How are you going to manage your financial stress? You need to have a strategy, you need to have a plan, and then stick to it. When we budget during career transitions, some essential strategies. Pay ourselves first, save what you can, cut your spending as much as you can down to bare essentials. Utilities, food, transportation, a roof over your head. Like I said, review every expense that you have. Take 1 month's bank and or credit card statements and say, okay, in all of these, what can I cut for this coming month? Another great resource is the Rocket Money app. I have used it. My daughter's used it. And what's great about Rocket Money app, it costs $10 a month, but it will cancel many of your existing subscriptions that you either forgot about or that you've decided you don't need. Emergency funds and savings management. Many different, rules of thumb out there. For emergency funds, you really should have up to 3 months income set aside in an emergency fund. Now, not everyone has that. Not everyone has started on that. Again, start with whatever you can and keep working every week to build up your emergency fund so you have at least a 3-month income buffer saved up, set aside for emergency use only. And make it a savings account. So at least it's earning interest. We do need to understand what we can about unemployment benefits and financial aid. So If or when necessary, pursue a local unemployment office. We do need to make smart investments for long-term stability. If you have access to a 401k plan, please max it out. And how a structured financial plan can ease transition success. One day at a time, 1 week at a time is how we begin a structured financial plan. When it comes to building and leveraging connections, there are many different effective networking strategies, including LinkedIn. We can attend industry events, professional associations, trade associations that we're a part of, alumni networks, informational interviews. Boy, you want to talk about a great way to get some practice interviewing. Apply for an informational interview at just about any company or organization you can think of in your area where you live. Because first of all, it's great practice. Second of all, you never know who might actually hire you on the spot. Or let me give you my favorite example. A colleague of mine about 6 months ago was about to lose her job. And there was a company she knew, and she actually knew the CFO. So the CFO didn't have any jobs to offer, but the CFO agreed to see her for an informational interview, which is exactly what she did. And there she is in the room, in the office of the CFO, her friend, and she's doing the informational interview. And the CFO starts thinking while she's there, you know, this person, the CFO is thinking, has some real skills in IT. Hang on a minute. So she steps out, goes and sees the CIO and says, I don't know what, if any, opportunities you have right now, but there's someone I want you to interview. Maybe you have something now, maybe a few months down the road, and I'd just like you to talk to her. CIO says, of course. So CFO brings this person over, this friend of mine over, and it did take about 3 months, but she's now working in IT for the CIO at this company, all because though the CFO, her friend, didn't have any jobs available, she's listening to her and thinking, you know, here's one of the skills you have that you hadn't even thought about. You're very skilled technically with computers, software, maybe coding and programming. And lo and behold, that's how she got her next opportunity. I think it's great. So we do want to leverage our contacts with professional associations, LinkedIn groups, attend networking events and job fairs, engage in effective follow-ups and building relationships, have someone seek out someone and ask them, could you mentor me? Don't be shy. And networking, I can think of many examples. My favorite is this. I was a member a long time ago of a local chapter of Sales and Marketing Executives International. And part of my job was to find people in companies near us who could come and speak to our group. So part of my job was to get their career information, their bio, so I could introduce them. And that's exactly what I did. Well, I would always sit with whoever I'd brought in as a speaker at our round table. And one of the networking exercises we did, okay, I know, we all brought 10 business cards and we basically, passed our business cards around to everyone at our round table. Well, lo and behold, the person I'd brought in for this one presentation was actually a regional general manager with Microsoft, focus on sales. Okay, that's why she spoke to our group. And I was fine. However, I didn't know this. Someone across the table was about to lose his job at Dell. And so after our networking and everything, he walks over, he talks to her, and lo and behold, about 2 weeks later, he gets hired to work at Microsoft. So you never know when you're going to meet the next person who could offer you a great job opportunity. There are still, no matter how tight the economy is, no matter how tough it is right now, There are still many opportunities out there. Now, you may want to pursue some self-employment options. There are benefits and challenges of freelancing and entrepreneurship. It's not for everyone. It's very tough financially to get going. It really helps if you have someone who is supportive of you at home. What you also want to do, though, is to identify what marketable skills do I have that might enable me to do some freelance work. There are a number of different platforms to help you find freelance gigs, Upwork, Fiverr, and Toptal. And some people have been very successful using those networks, Upwork, Fiverr, and Toptal, to transition from a corporate job to doing some freelancing work. One person in particular, he actually managed my website for about a year. He had been working for one of the software companies in California, challenges, what have you. We found each other on Upwork, and for about a year, he managed my website. So again, you never know where the opportunities are. Explore what you can for side hustles and gig economy options. Build a freelance portfolio and how much your services are worth. Market yourself as a freelancer. Go on some of these platforms and see what other people are charging for their services that perhaps you also could provide. Maybe you undercut them by $1 an hour or something like that. I mean, I know some people who have been very successful that way. There are legal and financial aspects to take into account if you decide to become self-employed. So I do recommend checking in with a tax advisor, local office of the Small Business Administration. There are a number of resources, and you can go from a corporate job to being a successful freelancer. Then when it comes to building a personal brand, I want to be sensitive to everyone's time. Personal branding takes time to grow and to develop. And the key elements of a personal brand include your presence on social media, thought leadership, and portfolio. There are many people, you may know some, who've been very successful using TikTok and Instagram to grow their business as an influencer. That may not be your thing. I'm just saying that's another opportunity that people have pursued very successfully. So let's think about possibilities. If that's the way we want to go, then we need to work on creating a strong online presence through content, developing an elevator pitch. What can you say in an elevator ride, roughly 30 to 40 seconds, that will help someone else who's never met you before understand what you do? What's your personal mission statement? Why are you here? What is your purpose? What is your profession? What are your interests? Please pardon this question, but what is so special about you? What makes you special? What makes you distinctive? That's what's behind branding. How good are you at telling a story? Telling a story about yourself, where you came from, what you've experienced. And also, you need to have, if you want to build a personal brand, you have to have consistencies across platforms, your website, LinkedIn, social media. So your action plan for career resilience is to create a personalized resilience plan. What's my plan? And then working on executing your plan every day. Now, if you're full-time employed, yet you're concerned, I may be out of work pretty soon, you need to take some steps every day, no matter your situation, full-time employed, unemployed. You must take steps at least 5 days a week to put together and then to start working on executing a plan that's going to get you to the next place. There are many resources available for continued learning and support. I know I'm not the world's best subject matter expert on this, but I hope part of what I've been sharing with you today has been helpful. Why don't we turn it back to our host, Kelly?
I'll come
Hello,
on and say thank
everybody.
you. Oh, go ahead, Kelly.
Hi, thanks so much for being here, everybody. We've got some question and answer time. I can see that folks have been putting their comments and thoughts in the chat as we're going along. But what questions do you have for us right now? You can ask Chris about his presentation, or you can ask Amanda about BPI's career resources. Any questions out there? I have a question, Chris.
Okay.
So for folks who are working in the trades,
Mhm.
when we're talking about technicians, because many of our folks are, working with their hands, they're out in the workforce, like
Mhm.
working on site every day.
Yep.
Folks, what might you suggest as a first step towards broadening skills?
Okay. Excellent. So, um, my hope is that many of those who are with us today have friends, have colleagues who are also in the trades. So, I seriously recommend that the best way to get started with anything, in this case, too, is to talk to people you know. Talk to other people you know who are in the trades, um, who, you know, can listen to you and be helpful to you. Most of us, the overwhelming majority of us, we want to help each other. And so I think when you start by talking with other people that you know who are in the trades and talk openly and honestly to them, maybe you're concerned and maybe you're deeply concerned. Most of our colleagues, most of our friends in this business are going to listen to us and be helpful to us. Many people you know and talk to have been in a similar situation. I strongly recommend you talk with the people you know who are in the trades and ask them for their advice. What would they suggest to recommend and to expand on your capabilities? Great question. Great question.
And Amanda, I didn't mean to cut you off. Why don't you go ahead?
No, I was just jumping in to say thank you, but also, Chris, to carry on from your point about LinkedIn. I've seen all types of people with different jobs who've been in the last 2, 3 weeks writing on LinkedIn. I've been laid off. I've lost my job, and the number of people who then share resources with them about, go look here. These jobs are available. So I think there's a great networking effect happening on LinkedIn to support people. So I really echo what you were saying there.
Absolutely.
What other questions do we have? Here's your chance.
Mhm. While people are thinking, I again want to echo what Amanda just said. It is amazing to me how many people are willing to help. And I will just say this too about myself again. Christopher R. DeVany, PMP. I'm right on LinkedIn. Feel free to send me a message. I have over 5,000 connections on LinkedIn. And I can at least, if you contact me and say, hey, here's what I do, here's what I'm looking for, I can share that message with all my connections. You never know who maybe is someone that I know who can help you.
And Lynn, did you want to say something?
Yeah,
Lynn's our
thank you.
CEO.
I just wanted to share a personal experience that I had during the last recession. I remember, everyone was pretty much getting laid off, and I remember packing up my dishes in the kitchen, and my son was about 3 years old, and I had to move out of the house because we had used up all our savings, and I was coming upstate to Saratoga Springs, New York, to live with my mother. So it got really bad. And, you have to remember that when one door closes, another one opens. And it ended up, my son flourished where we live now. He's an amazing young man. I ended up getting a job with BPI, and I've been there for 15 years. So just amazing things can happen when doors close. So just remember that. I think it's really important. I know everybody's going through it, times of uncertainty is very difficult, but I think there's a lot of resources out there, and it's who you know sometimes that can get you in the door. So it's really important to reach out. And in business, people know that you're going to reach out. We get reached out all the time to say, do you have a position for us, or do you know anybody? And we connect them with those different resources. So yes, please reach out to people that you know.
Sometimes too, I think if you have the bandwidth and the availability, even just volunteering or offering to volunteer somewhere, sometimes that opens a door at that place.
Sure.
Excellent suggestion, Amanda. Yes.
Lynn, would you mind taking a minute? And everybody, I didn't introduce her at the beginning. This is Lynn Franz. She is the Chief Operational Officer here at BPI, and we're happy to have her with us today. Amanda, Lynn, would you talk just a moment about BPI's job board and the sorts of positions that people would expect to see there?
So normally the positions that are listed there are from partners in the industry that are looking for positions, usually on the technical level, but there are some different like admin positions. A lot of them you have to be BPI certified in order to post a position, but we have opened that up lately so that with the uncertainty of these times right now, that people could post their resumes for free, even if they're not BPI certified. They could post positions, even if they're not requiring a BPI certification at this time. So it's really open right now. So go to our website at bpi.org and take a look at those positions that are open. And again, if you need to post your resume, you can do that as well.
I have one other item that I want to share. This is a project that BPI has been involved with for the past couple of years. It's called Green Workforce Connect. It's a project that we're doing with a group called IREC, and it is specifically about weatherization related employment and job opportunities. And there is a job listing feature here. It is specific at this time to weatherization agencies. I believe that is going to be expanded in coming months. There's about, I think, 15 states that have listings right now, and that will be expanding in the coming months. So that's another opportunity that you can use to look for industry-specific roles. Any other questions out there? I know that some folks are shy to turn on their mic, but you can use the chat if you would like.
Thanks, Kai.
Thank you, Kai. Kai has been very instrumental in the Green Workforce Connect effort, and he has posted a page that's specifically about how to use job boards. Kai, would you like to jump in and say anything? You want to turn on your mic? I know you've worked so hard on this project. Maybe not, or maybe he's not able to. Chris, would you like to wrap us up?
Absolutely. So I did mean to put my contact information in here. So what I'm going to do is, as soon as we are finished, I am going to put my contact information in here. I'm here to serve each and every one of you. So please, I will send this with my contact information directly to Kelly and to Amanda and to Lynn, and they can then share it with all of you. Any way I can be of service to you, call me, text me, email me. If I can help any of you find your next opportunity, that would also make me feel very good. So those are my final thoughts.
All right, and I just put the link to Chris's business website in the chat there. You should be able to access this chat later on. Just come back to the calendar event, open it up. You should be able to access the chat. Thank you so much, everyone for being here. We really appreciate it. We hope it has been helpful. We will be sending out the presentations and the recording over the next couple of days. Thank you so much, Chris.
My pleasure. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Chris.